The king remains quiet, but the Prince of Wales has reached his limit. Prince William has reportedly called for the nuclear option, and the reason Prince Harry didn't merely bend a royal guideline. He allegedly crossed a far more dangerous line, diplomatic sabotage. By releasing an official statement criticizing Donald Trump over NATO and veterans, Harry is accused of doing something unprecedented. He has pulled the British monarchy straight into an American election. This is not tabloid drama or a celebrity spat. This is a constitutional emergency, and the fallout could be devastating for Harry's life in the United States. Donald Trump has already suggested that if Harry misrepresented drug use on his visa application, deportation is on the table. Now, following what many are calling a vile and reckless political attack, that threat looks more serious than ever. Welcome back to Hollywood today. Tonight, we expose the diplomatic breach that has sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace. We will reveal the so-called shadow State Department, the PR machine with deep Democratic connections, believed to be behind Harry's statement. We'll take you to Sundance, where empty chairs tell the story of collapsing Hollywood ambitions, and we'll uncover the brutal internal war between a king seeking calm and a prince pushing for exile. Don't go anywhere, the visa clock is ticking, and Prince William may be ready to let it run out. Let's begin with what we call the shadow State Department. To understand why Prince William is reportedly demanding such extreme measures, we have to look past what was said and focus on who actually wrote it. Read the statement again: the pursuit of shared security, the defense of diplomacy. Does that sound like the man who authored Spare? Like the prince who speaks endlessly about generational trauma and toddlers? Of course not. That language doesn't come from Harry. It's the smooth, sharpened phrasing of a Washington lobbyist, the calculated syntax of a political operator. According to industry insiders, Harry didn't draft this attack on Donald Trump at all. It was likely written by the shadow State Department, now steering the Sussex brand, Sunshine Sachs. And Sunshine Sachs isn't just another celebrity PR agency. They are political power brokers. Yes, they've represented Meghan Markle since her Suits era, but more importantly, their roster is packed with Hollywood elites and organizations deeply intertwined with Democratic Party causes. By allowing this firm to issue a statement on NATO, a military alliance, Harry has crossed into dangerous territory. He has transformed himself into something far more risky, a political pawn. This is the moment everything changed. In Britain, the royal family must remain completely neutral. They do not vote. They do not lobby. They do not choose sides. Queen Elizabeth II ruled for 7 decades without the public ever knowing her personal politics. That silence was the foundation of royal authority. Harry has now traded that silence for a headline. He has allowed himself to be used as a blunt weapon by the American left against a Republican candidate, and he's seemingly unaware of it, which brings us to a chilling legal reality the mainstream media refuses to touch. The Logan Act of 1799, a U.S. federal law, prohibits unauthorized individuals from interfering in disputes involving foreign governments and the United States. While Harry isn't an American citizen, he is a resident injecting himself into US foreign policy discourse. By casting himself as a moral authority for NATO veterans against a possible future president, he's behaving like an unsanctioned diplomat channel diplomacy, without permission. Prince William understands this. King Charles understands this. They know that if Trump returns to power in November, he won't view Harry as a sympathetic veteran. He'll see him as a hostile actor in the culture war, a foreign royal using his title to campaign against him. Harry believes he's being courageous. In reality, he's drafting his own removal order, one press release at a time, and the people encouraging him. They'll keep their cushy Hollywood jobs long after Harry is forced to pack his bags. This wasn't just a statement. It was a death warrant for his American residency, and as political pressure rises in Washington, the atmosphere in Park City, Utah, has turned ice cold. While Harry was busy pretending to be a statesman, his real industry, Hollywood, was quietly shutting him out. This brings us to the next chapter, the visa time bomb. As Harry plays activist, he seems to have forgotten one crucial truth about his life in America. He is a guest, and guests can be shown the door. This is the most dangerous element of his attack on Donald Trump. He didn't just criticize a politician. He went after the one man who may soon control his right to stay in the country. Strip away the royal fantasy, and the facts are stark. Donald Trump has already issued a clear warning. In a recent interview, he said bluntly about Harry, "I will not protect him." He betrayed the Queen, and in royal terms, that is beyond forgiveness. If it were up to me, he'd be on his own. Most public figures would hear a warning like that and retreat into silence. Harry chose the opposite path. He struck the match. The machinery that could ultimately remove him from the United States is already turning. At the center of it is the Heritage Foundation, a powerful conservative think tank based in Washington. They are actively suing the Department of Homeland Security to force the release of Prince Harry's visa records. And the reason is simple. Harry told on himself. In Spare, his memoir, Harry openly detailed illegal drug use, cocaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms. Under U.S. immigration law, even admitting past drug use, including in a published book, can make an applicant inadmissible. That places Harry in a legal vice grip. A no-win scenario with only two doors, both dangerous. Scenario 1. Harry was honest on his visa application and disclosed his drug use. If that's the case, he would have needed a special waiver to enter the country. Who would have approved it? The Biden administration. And what one president authorizes, another president can undo. If Donald Trump returns to office, he holds the executive authority to review and revoke discretionary waivers, especially for foreign nationals deemed undesirable or politically disruptive. Scenario 2. Harry checked no when asked about prior drug use. If so, he committed visa fraud. Lying to a federal official is a felony and is grounds for immediate deportation and a permanent ban from re-entry. There is no royal exemption buried in the Immigration and Nationality Act. By publishing Spare, Harry effectively supplied prosecutors with their own evidence. But there's a third, more ominous theory circulating in diplomatic circles. Some believe Harry may be in the U.S. on an A-1 diplomatic visa, a status normally reserved for government officials. That would explain why immigration authorities haven't intervened yet. But if that theory is true, his recent NATO statement becomes even more explosive. Holders of a -1 visas are strictly forbidden from engaging in the host country's domestic political affairs. By publicly attacking a presidential candidate, Harry would have violated the core condition of that visa. Prince William understands the stakes. He knows Harry is wagering his entire American life, his home, his children's residency, and his personal safety. He's provoking a system powerful enough to crush him. It's not bravery, it's strategic self-destruction. So why take the risk? Why jeopardize everything over a press release about NATO? The answer may be arrogance. Harry still believes the rules don't apply to him. He thinks the monarchy's invisible shield still surrounds him. But he's about to discover a hard truth in America. When the sheriff changes, so do the rules. And while the visa time bomb keeps ticking in Washington, another collapse was unfolding 2,000 miles away in Park City, Utah. Because if Harry thought politics was ruthless, Hollywood was about to prove it's even colder. Let's move to the empty chairs at Sundance. This is the Sundance rejection. If Harry's political outbursts signal entitlement, what happened in Utah signals irrelevance. From the looming legal storm in Washington, we shift to the frozen silence of Park City. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arrived at the Sundance Film Festival expecting applause, maybe even a victory lap. What they got was humiliation. They were there to promote Cookie Queens, a documentary centered on the Girl Scouts, executive produced by Meghan. The couple likely imagined a bidding frenzy, glowing reviews, standing ovations, and Hollywood validation. Instead, one image told the real story, an image many outlets tried to ignore: empty seats. Sources inside the festival say the screening at the Eccles Theatre was a flop. While modest indie films were selling out to enthusiastic crowds, the Sussexes couldn't fill the room. Let that sink in. Two of the most recognizable names on earth, offering a free preview of their latest project, and the industry shrugged. But the empty seats are only the symptom. The real illness lies in the deal itself. Before we break down the fatal business decisions that led to this moment, let me pause to acknowledge you, our global audience in an era of deafening headlines and hollow celebrity performances. Your choice to be here, searching for clarity, matters more than you know. Wherever you're watching from today, I hope you and your loved ones are safe, healthy, and finding calm in uncertain times. I'm always amazed by how far this community reaches. Take a moment to introduce yourself in the comments. Tell us the city and country you're tuning in from. Are you watching from Canada's winter chill, Australia's summer heat, or right here in the United States? It's truly a privilege to have you here. Now, back to the investigation. So why were Harry and Meghan even at Sundance? This is where the business reality blows apart the public narrative. Remember, the Sussexes signed what was reported to be a $100 million exclusive deal with Netflix. Deals of that size always include a standard industry clause called right of first refusal. In plain terms, Netflix gets first dibs on anything they produce. If Netflix wants it, they stream it. It became a Netflix original. If Cookie Queens were a strong, high-quality project, it would already be sitting on your Netflix homepage, right next to The Crown. The fact that Harry and Meghan were trekking through snow in Utah, pitching the film to outside buyers at a festival, tells us everything we need to know. Netflix past industry sources say executives watched the final cut and flatly declined to host it. They reviewed it and decided it wasn't worth the platform space. That rejection forced Harry and Meghan into damage control mode, dragging their project across the festival circuit like struggling indie filmmakers. Not the industry power brokers they claimed to be. Meghan tried to reframe the moment. She stepped onto the stage and treated that half-empty room as if it were the Academy Awards. She thanked her team, including Chanel Leslie Q, projecting the illusion that Arkwell remains a thriving powerhouse. But Hollywood sees through that performance. You don't shop a film at Sundance when you have a $100 million distribution partner, unless that partner has already walked away. And this failure ties directly back to the diplomatic chaos we discussed earlier. Harry is posturing as a global authority, issuing moral declarations on NATO and attacking Donald Trump, while simultaneously being unable to sell a Girl Scouts documentary to the very company funding his lifestyle. The contradiction is breathtaking. He's leaning into politics because he's collapsing in business. But the embarrassment didn't end when the lights dimmed inside that theater. Once the microphones came out, the power dynamic became impossible to ignore. Welcome to the puppet master on the red carpet. If the empty seats were a blow to their professional credibility, what happened outside was a blow to their marriage narrative. We analyze the footage frame by frame, and what emerges is not a partnership. It's control, a handler, and a subordinate. As cameras flashed at the Cookie Queen's premiere, Harry was pushed to the edge of the scene, literally sidelined while Meghan claimed center stage. He lingered there, waiting, watching for permission. Then it happened. Meghan gave a subtle nod, the signal. Harry immediately darted across the carpet, moving with urgency, like a child finally summoned. It was painful to watch. A former British Army officer reduced to a background prop in his wife's photo opportunity. But the true power grab happened once the microphones went live. Film festivals follow an unspoken rule: the director leads, the creatives speak first. Meghan reportedly ignored that tradition entirely. She seized the floor before the director could properly introduce the film, delivering what critics described as an avalanche of buzzwords. She framed a straightforward documentary about Girl Scouts as a profound, multi-layered exploration of the complexities of girlhood. It sounded less like a panel introduction, and more like an Oscar acceptance speech, for a project she neither directed nor wrote, and one she couldn't even sell to Netflix. Commentators are calling it a classic case of Blake Lively syndrome, where a celebrity claims ownership of a project while eclipsing the people who actually created it. Then came the moment that laid bare the Sussex brand's deepest contradiction. A reporter asked an innocent, human question. Would she want her daughter, Lilibet, to join the Girl Scouts? It was a softball, an opportunity to connect. Instead, Meghan froze. Footage shows her expression hardening instantly, eyes narrowing, jaw tightening, smile vanishing. She refused to respond, abruptly turned away, and handed the microphone to the director. shutting the exchange down completely. To the public, the reaction made no sense. Why such hostility? This is the same woman who selectively features her children online when it benefits her image, offering silhouettes back of the head photos, carefully curated glimpses for engagement. Yet when faced with a harmless, unscripted question that didn't fit the narrative, she behaved as if her privacy had been attacked. What this exposes is a purely transactional relationship with truth itself. Information is shared only when there's money involved or when she controls the lens. If curiosity about her daughter is such an offense, then using that child as a branding device on social media shouldn't be an option. It really is that simple. This puppet, master dynamic, isn't just irritating, it's corrosive. It feeds the growing perception that Harry has no autonomy, no voice, no function beyond propping up Meghan's vanity ventures. He's a prince bold enough to lecture presidents, yet timid in his own home. And back in London, after watching this blend of frailty and arrogance play out on the world stage, the royal family has reached its breaking point. While King Charles may be shaking his head in weary disappointment, Prince William is no longer waiting. The era of quiet disengagement is finished. The gloves are off. This is the palace civil war as Harry was humiliating himself in Utah. A far more consequential battle was unfolding behind palace walls. For years, the story has been the monarchy versus Harry, but according to fresh intelligence, the real fault line has shifted. This is now William versus Charles. High-level sources suggest the King and the Prince of Wales are locked in a serious internal conflict over how to handle the Sussex crisis. The spark was Harry's public attack on Donald Trump. To William, this wasn't just another misstep, it was the final act of betrayal. Insiders say William's stance has hardened into what many are calling the nuclear option. He views Harry's interference in American politics as reckless, disgraceful, and a violation of every diplomatic convention. William believes that allowing Harry to keep his titles while publicly attacking a potential U.S. president makes the monarchy complicit. His solution is decisive: exile, strip the titles, amend the line of succession, end the half-in, half-out experiment immediately. In William's eyes, Harry is no longer a brother. He's a rogue actor within the institution, a diplomatic threat that must be neutralized before he irreparably damages the UK's relationship. This is where the civil war truly begins. King Charles does not agree. Worse still, reports suggest he may be playing both sides. While William is furious, insiders claim Charles continues to entertain the idea that Harry and Meghan can operate in this murky middle ground. Even more startling are reports from royal correspondents, including Tom Sykes, indicating that Charles may have quietly supported Harry's NATO stance. There were briefings to British media suggesting Trump softened his NATO rhetoric after concerns were raised through royal back channels. If true, the implication is staggering. It would mean King Charles is leveraging his son's reckless statement to suggest he personally influenced US foreign policy. To William, this isn't diplomacy. It's delusion. He sees his father's approach as dangerously weak. William understands what Charles seems unwilling to accept. You cannot appease a bully, and you cannot play political games with Donald Trump. If Trump returns to power, he won't care about private assurances or palace whispers. He will remember one thing: the king's son publicly attacked him, and the king allowed it. This fracture exposes a frightening truth about the monarchy's future. What we're witnessing is a battle between sentiment and survival. Charles is driven by emotion, the guilt of a father who believes he failed his favored son. He clings to the open door, hoping reconciliation will somehow fix everything. William is driven by duty. He studies approval ratings. He tracks geopolitical risk. He recognizes Harry as a malignant threat to the institution. In practice, William is already acting as a shadow king. He's the one pushing for the hard decisions, because he knows he'll be the one cleaning up the aftermath. He also knows that if Harry is expelled from the United States, he'll come running back to Britain, and William's worst nightmare is Harry returning to UK soil with his lawsuits, his grievances, and his political crusades contaminating the heart of London. The tension is undeniable. This isn't merely a disagreement over foreign policy. It's about whether the crown itself survives. William looks at his father and sees vulnerability. a king who privately objected to Rwanda policy under Boris Johnson, and now appears to be meddling in American politics through his son. William believes the only way to save the institution is surgical removal, cutting off the limb entirely. But as long as Charles holds the pen, Harry keeps his titles. And as long as Harry keeps those titles, every reckless statement he makes drags the entire family down with him. Harry now stands in a uniquely destructive position. He has alienated Washington. He has alienated Hollywood. And now, without even realizing it, Harry has ignited a war between his own father and brother. Pressure is closing in from every direction. Which brings us to the unavoidable conclusion. Harry and Meghan are running out of runway. They've played every card available to them, the victim narrative, the race narrative, and now the political one. But when the deck is empty, the game ends. As we close the chapter on this diplomatic catastrophe, the truth facing the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is brutal. They are trapped in a pincer movement entirely of their own making. In the United States, they've antagonized a potential future president, placing Harry's visa in jeopardy by engaging in political theater he is neither elected nor authorized to conduct. In Hollywood, they've been publicly humbled. Empty theaters and rejection from the very streaming platform that bankrolls their lifestyle. And back in Britain, they face a brother who has reached the limit of his tolerance and is no longer willing to absorb the collateral damage they inflict on the crown. From where I sit here at Hollywood today, the lesson is unmistakable. You cannot serve two masters. Harry wants royal privilege while demanding the freedom of a political activist. He seeks the protection of the monarchy while simultaneously undermining the diplomatic norms that keep it intact. But as Prince William has correctly identified, the half-in, half-out fantasy does not work. Real independence comes with real consequences. If Harry wants to speak like an American politician, then he must live with the reality of being treated like any other foreign resident, including the possibility of deportation. He cannot wield his voice like a weapon while hiding behind his titles as armor. Now, I turn the floor over to you, the jury of public opinion. What we are watching is a collision of two philosophies, a king who hesitates and a prince who demands decisive action. Whose side are you on? Type William if you support the nuclear option. Strip the titles and sever the ties completely. Type Charles if you believe the king is right to prioritize diplomatic calm, even if it appears weak. If you appreciate our deep dive reporting into stories the mainstream media barely touches, hit that like button. It helps us keep going and keep the truth flowing. Be sure to subscribe to Hollywood Today and ring the bell so you never miss the next briefing. The diplomatic conflict has begun, and we'll be here to cover every front. I'll see you in the next one.